Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and in honor of this year's Father's Day, we're looking at Come to Daddy, released in 2019. Right off the bat, I've got to say that I really recommend you watch this one on your own. Rarely do you find a movie as surprising and unique as this one. While at first it just seems like an offbeat, slowly paced indie film with Elijah Wood sporting an awful haircut, it ends up taking so many left turns it does 6 or 7 full laps. Come to Daddy is the directorial debut of producer TIMPSON, a New Zealand filmmaker with an awesome name who founded the 48 Hours film competition and has produced films like Deathgasm and both of the ABCs of Deaths. Like I mentioned, Come to Daddy stars Elijah Wood, and if you still only know him as Frodo Baggins, then you must have missed that the dude's become a powerhouse of the horror genre, acting in films like the Maniac remake and producing plenty more, including A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night and my favorite acid trip revenge flick, Mandy. Wood plays a spoiled man boy who's come to see his estranged father for the first time in 30 years. And that's all I'm gonna say about it, because that's all you should know going in. I will let you know that this episode definitely needs a sponsor, so boy am I grateful for Keeps. You know that 2 out of 3 dudes will get some form of male pattern baldness by time they're 35? I do, because I'm 31, so I'm knocking at that door. But I also know that the best way to prevent hair loss is to keep it while you have it, which is why Keeps exists. It's right there in the name. Keeps offers low prices and easy home deliveries for the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products, and you can even visit the doctor online to get your prescription. I love not leaving the house, especially now. You can get 50% off your first order of Keeps by going to keeps.com/DMJ or clicking the link in the description. That's keeps.com/DMJ, as in Dead Meat James, for 50% off your first order of Keeps. Let's see how many people die when a father-son reunion goes wrong and get to the kills. The movie begins with a quote. Who said that one? Haha, Willie Shakes, nice. And that one? Of course, Beyonce, the Shakespeare of single ladies. In the middle of nowhere, Oregon, a bus drops off a guy named Norval Greenwood, whose commitment to this Isaac from the Children of the Corn cosplay stops at shaving that mustache, and at fetching that hat when it blows off his head. It's already so far away. Norval's following a map to Mordor, to an isolated beach house in order to rekindle a relationship with his title card, his daddy, his father. He's going to meet his father. He was summoned here via snail mail, the first he's heard from his father in 30 years.
I got your letter. Your letter asking me to come and see you. Well, here I am.
And his craggly dad, Brian, welcomes him in with a hug and some immediately awkward conversation.
Welcome to my house.
I like it.
You don't.
I do.
Why?
Learn how to take a compliment, Dad. God. Norval unpacks and agrees to take a selfie with his pops, using his limited edition real gold phone designed by Lord. That makes it mighty tragic when Brian drops it down into the water below.
I should never have had that second beer for breakfast.
Yeah, man, I think just the one for it to be a balanced breakfast. Brian is played by Stephen McHattie, whose career goes back to 1970. He's worked consistently these past 50 years, but horror fans may know him best as the star of Pontypool, a pretty interesting Canadian flick from 2008. As Brian and Norval catch up, we learn that Norval lives with his mom for financial reasons and doesn't drink because of an alcohol dependency that led to a close call with suicide. His pops doesn't react with any sympathy to the story, and in fact, quite insensitively, goes full Cersei on a goblet of wine right in front of his anxious son. Brian says he used to be a limo driver who's now a professional alcoholic, while Norval humble brags that he works in the music industry.
Do I DJ? Yes. Do I produce blazing beats? Yes.
When Brian's not impressed, Norval name drops Elton John, birth name Reginald, as a close personal friend. Brian says he too is friends with Sir Reginald, having driven his limo for years, so he offers to call the Rocket Man and share this fun coincidence.
It'll blow his fucking mind. Are you kidding?
Brian and Norval, his old pals, just happened to be father and son? Whoa, incredible.
I don't know, Dad.
This humiliating bluff works and gets Norval to admit that he doesn't actually know Elton John. He's just a big old poser. Brian reveals that he doesn't either.
But I'm glad we've established that you're full of shit.
Me too, I love interesting characters.
I once accidentally kicked a guy's ear off.
Oh, we're making him real interesting here, huh? The next day, as Brian has his first breakfast beer, Norval asks him why he wrote that beckoning letter in the first place. The response isn't what he hoped to hear.
I gotta take a crap.
In fact, his dad is constantly one big old bag of douche. Like, what the fuck, Dad? Were you trying to kill me just then? Norval continues to press Brian about why he wrote for him to come, why he left when Norval was 5, and why he drinks more than a goldfish. But Brian's too drunk and belligerent to have a heart-to-heart right now.
What the fuck are you gonna do about it? What the fuck are you gonna do about it?
The two start trading insults. Norval calls Brian a drunk, and Brian calls Norval a rat fucker. Wait, what do you mean by rat fucker, Brian?
You stuff rats up your vagina.
You know, I don't think, never mind. The altercation grows physical, and then, like, super extra physical, as Brian takes a meat cleaver and tells Norval the name of this movie.
Come to daddy.
Right as he grabs Norval's neck, though, Brian has a heart attack and drops dead on the floor. Ha, bet you didn't see that coming, huh? No, not you, Norval, I'm talking to my audience. A shocked Norval makes the appropriate calls, first to his mother and then to the authorities, and the next day, a sheriff named Ronald Plum shows up. He questions Norval intently, trying to suss out if any foul play was involved, but he ends up trusting the man boy because Norval doesn't have raisin eyes, which he says are a sure sign of evil doing. No raisin eyes here, dude. Elijah's got the biggest grapey eyeballs I've ever seen. Maybe just offer the man some comfort, Sheriff.
I can burp on command if that might cheer you up.
Or, you know, you could just go, I guess. Next to arrive is the coroner, Gladys Klondike. Great names in this movie. She tells Norval that she can embalm Brian's body, but because of a storage issue at the morgue, she'll have to bring it back when she's done. Might sound weird, but this actually happened to Aunt Timpson. Like I said, dude was a producer before this movie, but when his father Tony died in 2018, he was inspired to direct his own film, and he took inspiration from the circumstances surrounding his dad's death.
He got embalmed and then came back for the kids to grieve with the body. So I spent 5 days in a house with his corpse and had a very emotional, cathartic experience, which was amazing.
Strangers visited his house to pay their respects, and Timpson started wondering what it'd be like if these people and his dad had been involved in some nefarious activities he never knew about. Way to make the best out of that situation, dude. Norval and Gladys bond a bit in their initial meeting, and even more when they have to schlep Brian's corpse back up to his house. When she goes to leave, she suggests that Norval talk to the corpse as a coping mechanism, and her kindness touches him right in those big old blue eyes. It's weird for Norval to have his dad's corpse around, obviously, but it's even weirder that night when he starts hearing noises from the vents. Oh shit, are we about to have a ghost movie on our hands? Maybe. Because what else could be making all that goddamn noise? And who else could be calling and not saying anything on the other end? Ghosts are notorious crank yankers. But instead of a ghost, maybe the phone call came from this dude outside Norval just barely sees while taking a leak. He's over there if you missed him. Pretty hard to spot. With possible peeping Toms prowling about, I don't know if it's a good time for Norval to fall off the wagon. But he hasn't been able to sleep at night with all those vent noises, so he ends up following in his father's footsteps, marching straight towards the bottom of a bottle. The booze helps him cope with the noises, but not his balance, and from his sloppy seat on the floor, he calls up Gladys the coroner. It doesn't go that well.
Just come over.
You're going through a very difficult time.
We had something.
No, we didn't.
I know you felt it too.
No, I didn't.
Rejected and frustrated by the continual noises, Norval acts on Gladys's advice and confronts his dad's dead body. He yells at Brian for leaving when he was young, and also for possibly being a ghost, before collapsing in a heap of hyperventilation. He wakes up to find Brian facing him now, but simply rotates the head back and pays it no mind. He does pay mind to a little cubby he notices hidden in the wall, inside which he finds a box that has keepsakes and a photo album. In it are pictures of his mom, him as a little boy, and his dad. Wait, his dad? That guy's his dad? But that guy doesn't look like Brian, right? Yeah, that dude's definitely not Brian. which makes his haunting that much more annoying. Go haunt your real son, dude! Turns out these noises aren't from a ghost. They're coming from beneath the floor, as Norval discovers there's a hatch in the living room. If you get down there and find a dude working out to Mama Cass, you should probably just let him be, Norval. Despite the potential Desmond danger, Norval cracks open that safe and heads down with a flashlight to find a man, beaten and bloody, with his arm chained to the wall.
Norval, my boy, you actually came.
It's his real dad, played by Martin Donovan, and he is actually named Brian. We'll learn a little later that Norval's faux father was named Gordon, but we can go ahead and make that correction for the kill count right now. Great! Before Norval and real Brian can have a proper reunion, they hear someone else arriving at the house, which cuts the moment short.
Look at me. I'm your dad. The next 90 seconds are gonna change your life forever.
Brian says there's a man coming down here to hurt him, so Norval's gonna need to murder him with that dumbbell right there. Now hide, son, hide! The man in question is a guy named Jethro, played by Michael Smiley, who's in a whole bunch of stuff, including the Aunt Timpson produced ABCs of Death and one of the more horror-esque episodes of Black Mirror, White Bear. Jethro's a nasty motherfucker who looks like a retired rocker and who's currently holding a pen covered in, I'm sorry, excrement?
Excrement is a scientific word for poo.
It's excrement, not extra.
I'm gonna stab you with this pen, Brian.
Yeah, he may be thick as a brick, but that doesn't make Jethro any less dangerous. In fact, director Aunt Timpson says that Jethro is, quote, obsessed with film villains, so he's self-aware of his own role as a scoundrel. Not in like a meta way, it's just that being a bad guy's sort of a passion play for Jethro. After telling Brian that he wants some money owed to him, Jethro stabs him with the poo pen multiple times, causing Brian to yell for his son to come out swinging that weight.
Now fucking kill him! Fucking kill him!
This directs Jethro's attention to the closet, but the ensuing fight between him and Norval is short-lived and, I mean, kind of pathetic. So Jethro says fuck this and pieces out up the ladder. He shouts down that he'll be back soon with more firepower, and they hear him leave, which begins a ticking clock dilemma for them to get Brian out of captivity. He offers to instruct his clueless son how to pick a lock. Step 1,
Smash the shitty pen.
as Norval gets to work, Brian gives him a rundown of where he's been these past 3 decades. After leaving Norval's mom, he wound up in Bangkok with a group of 3 other criminals, Jethro, Gordon, and a yet-to-be-seen enforcer named Dandy. Together, they kidnapped the daughter of Thailand's richest man, and Brian here ran off with all the extortion money they were supposed to split. I guess that explains why he has world's worst friend carved into his chest, presumably by Jethro. Brian can't give any of the money back now, though, because it's all gone. He sent it to Norval's mom, and it was spent on his spoiled upbringing.
My entire life has been funded by...
A kidnapping.
With time running out, Brian tells Norval they'll have to dislocate his thumb and index finger so he can get his hand out of these cuffs. It's a painful procedure to watch/listen to, and in the end, it doesn't even work. But then they realize that the chain is very simply hooked onto the wall, and that the whole digit dislocation thing was just done in vain. At least you've still got 3 digits on that hand, dude. That's all some sloths need. They go upstairs, where Norval realizes his dad's missing something. His ear.
Gordon kicked it off.
Yo, I heard about that. But Gordon left out the more lurid detail, the part where he made Brian eat it.
He gave me a choice between my own ear or a shot glass of his semen. Like some kind of a Japanese game show or something. I chose the ear.
Before they leave, Norval has to use the bathroom, and it's there that he runs into the enforcer, Dandy. And Dandy don't like his toilet time interrupted. Dandy starts beating the shit out of Norval as Brian yells to his son that he has to fight back now or forever rest in peace. Norval responds by grabbing a carving fork and stabbing Dandy in the war halls more than a dozen bloody times. He then uses saran wrap to beat the guy down and to finally murder him. First, by wrapping his head up nice and tight, and then by beating it flat like he's making some chicken piccata. Damn, haven't seen a kitchen set beat down this intense since that shitty Black Christmas remake. No, not the new shitty Black Christmas remake, the other shitty Black Christmas remake. Norval is once again shocked out of his senses, and unlike his fake dad Gordon, his real dad Brian at least begins to offer some comfort. But the words don't come to him, and they've got to get out of here. So Norval helps his dad down to the road outside his house. They They have to hide when they hear a car arriving. It's it's Jethro. He's returned with a flaming crossbow because this is war, child. Aunt Timpson and writer Toby Harvard, who also wrote a segment in the second ABCs of Death, as well as the Elijah Wood-produced The Greasy Strangler, decided to give Jethro a crossbow because they think guns are boring in horror movies. I agree. As Jethro heads into the house, Norval remembers that his home address is on a luggage tag inside. His worst nightmare comes true when Jethro steps outside and yells from the bottom of his aqua lungs that he's gonna go to the address on the luggage tag and kill whomever he finds there, which would be Norval's mom. Brian's solution is simple. Norval's gonna have to kill Jethro.
I'm not a murderer. You just killed somebody literally 5 minutes ago.
Brian can't do it himself since his hand's all busted up, so Norval hides in Jethro's trunk, hoping to get the jump on him when the opportunity presents itself. He rides in the car until Jethro parks at a motel, at which point Norval hops out and tries to rent a neighboring room to do the deed. Only problem is, this place is all booked up because there's a geologist/swingers convention in town.
I shit you not, I have a whole motel full of flabby sex people just doing whatever they do.
Norval makes up a story about a woman with big boobs outside, which distracts the clerk long enough for him to steal some keys, a map, and a receipt spindle. After stabbing out Jethro's tires with the receipt spindle, Norval goes to enter his room only to find the door chained shut. That sends him next door, where he has to sneak around quietly, lest he wake the 4 slumbering swingers passed out inside. One of them straight hanging dong. He walks through hell in condoms to get to the connecting door, but a misstep turns the TV on and forces him to act fast. As the nudies have a Rudy awakening, Norval gets into Jethro's room where he finds him with a sex worker named Precious. She's into the rough play, so she grabs Norval and holds him as Jethro brags about going to Norval's house and killing his mom.
So, do you have any message for your mommy?
Tell her I love her.
I'm gonna specifically tell her that you don't love her.
Damn, that's cold, Jethro. He picks up the receipt spindle and stabs Norval in the side with it 2 or 3 times before jamming it through his cheek. Precious grows concerned that she just became an accessory to murder, but Jethro ain't got time to worry about her. He's gotta make a baller exit.
I'm out of here like Vladimir.
He goes to his car and puts Norval's address into the GPS so he can go make good on that promise to kill his mom.
I got that California itch. I'm gonna kill your mama and leave her in a ditch. Yeah.
That song, which is hilarious to me, was an ad-lib from Michael Smiley. Dude improvised a lot of his lines and even provided the nasty fake teeth he wears. His sense of humor comes from a background in stand-up, which is also the name of another Jethro Tull album, so add it to all the references I've been making to those. In the motel room, Norval comes to and stumbles out just in time to see Jethro driving off with his beat-ass tires. How far is he gonna get with them beat-ass tires? I guess not far. Norval stumbles down the block to find Jethro's car crashed into a burger joint sign, which is currently pointing straight through the windshield and the seat that once held Jethro. Norval retrieves his luggage tag and sees Jethro slowly plodding down the street. He catches up to him and finds him missing a good portion of his Jethro skull, thanks to that sign. The criminal tells Norval that his mom is a sex worker and that he once had relations with her. What do you got to say about that, Norval?
Arthur!
And with that, Jethro's down and out, the toll of all that acute brain damage finally killing him once and for all. As Norval leaves his corpse, Avril 14th by Aphex Twin starts playing, which is kind of an in-joke since AFX also has a song called Come to Daddy. Watch the music video for it if you want to see some creepy-ass kids running around. Norval continues his way back to Brian's house as a voiceover from his dad reads the letter that brought him there in the first place. In it, Brian says he'd like to be a better dad, and that's nice. Norval gets back to the beach where he left his dad and joins him for a plop down in front of a log. Together, they bleed out / suffer from poo pen infections, but I'm not gonna put them on the kill count since the movie ends with both of them still just barely moving and no guarantee that either one died. How many people died during this disaster of a daddy reunion? Only one way to find out. Come to the numbers! Man, this shirt has green on it, doesn't it? Only 3 people died for sure in Come to Daddy, and since they were all 3 of them dudes, it gave us a mealy male pie chart for this Father's Day kill count. With a runtime of 96 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 32 minutes. Whoa. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Jethro. Yeah, Dandy's was more violent, but I love the exposed brain we see as Jethro's walking down the road, and the vocal result of his misfiring brain cells, Arthur, is actually a little disturbing, which is great. Dull machete for lamest kill goes to Gordon and his heart attack. Don't think I need to defend that one. And that's it. Come to Daddy came out in 2019, the latest of Elijah Wood's work in the horror genre. Would love to have that dude on the podcast one day. Until next time, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count. I want to thank some patrons like Jack Daly, Alex Ryan, Michael Garcia, Harry, aka Dead Funny Man Official, Sean Thomason, Derek Jones, and What's in the Sugar Bowl? Sugar, I hope. Happy Father's Day to my dad, Jim Janice. His Stephen King obsession got me hooked from an early age. Thanks everyone, be good people.